Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms, and I am joined here, as always, with my partner in crime, Sam Schneider from Primetime Sports Talk. Why don't you tell them where they can find all your stuff?
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at Buy and Sell You. I write for Primetime Sports Talk. Like Mark said, you can find us at Talk Primetime or primetimesportstalk.com.
There you go. All right. So, and if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's the only thing we ask. We're doing another episode of Jungle Talk, which I forgot to say in the beginning, but we will preview the Chiefs game coming up this week, and we'll do what we usually do. Things we're feeling good about, not feeling good about, and then we'll do our predictions. Just some general comments before we jump into this game. First of all, if you haven't had a chance, it's on my Twitter, it's on the Bengals website. You could check YouTube, but if you got to watch the presser after the game with Burrow, where he talks about, they ask him about Martindale's comments, and he just basically, he's so Manning, Brady, Rodgers-esque. He's mature beyond his years. I know everybody jokes he's got this baby face. He looks like Macaulay Culkin, grown-up version of him. Looks more like Macaulay Culkin as a kid than Macaulay looks like as an adult.
Right.
It's crazy, but he's just, saying, they just weren't necessary. And then they ask him if he had that on his mind when he went for the 500, and he just kind of gets that little smirk and he goes, maybe.
Right.
It was very cool. And then the other thing that I didn't talk about, or we didn't get to on our recap, was that whole what's your deal? And I'm using the what's your deal reference for those of you who don't know that USC was getting killed by John's brother, Jim, who was coaching Stanford at the time. And he actually took timeouts, scored a touchdown, and then went for two. And Pete Carroll, when they run out to the field, says to Jim Harbaugh, "What's your deal?" It was obvious he picked it up. He was pissed, and that was kind of a "what's your deal" moment in the middle of the field when Harbaugh and Taylor met. And so I really enjoyed that. And then just some general news. Pratt went to the COVID list, so we probably don't have him this week. We do get Reader back off the COVID list, and then Logan Wilson, which we'll cover, that's one of my good things, has returned to practice, and he's been full practice the last 2 days. So
hey, as long as we're on news, I wanted to throw it out there that Willie Anderson was announced today as a top 15 finalist for the Hall of Fame, which is such a long time coming. So really, really, really happy about that.
This would be a good, because I was going to talk about that also. This would be a good year for Willie to get in, because this is one of those years where you look at that list and there's no automatic first time, there's no Manning, there's none of those people that you would look at and say, well, he's in, so now we're only looking at this many spots.
Right.
There's nobody on that list like that. So it'll be interesting to see if he this would be a good year for him to get into the Hall. And it would be, we're a long overdue. I mean, we've gone through the Kenny Rileys, the snubs, and just the stuff, Max Montoya. It's just, we've been so discriminated against when it comes to the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Sham right now, as far as I'm concerned. But
right.
Let's see if we can correct that ship. I envisioned Bell playing. We're still lean at linebacker, so I envisioned us using Von Bell playing packages, but where Von Bell will take more of a linebacker role this week, because we're going to.
Yeah, I was going to mention that I think that the safeties are going to be really, really important in this game, because they're both going to have to stand on their own 2 feet. Not that they're not capable of. I mean, they're two great safeties. But Von Bell is really going to need to help out the linebacker core, because you've got Logan Wilson, Marcus Bailey, and a couple guys you haven't even heard about. And then by the same token, on a team that's got somebody like Tyreek Hill on it, Jesse Bates is really going to have to help those cornerbacks out, and he's going to have to do that himself over the top. So this is going to be a big time game for those two safeties.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, well, with that, let's just jump in to the good and the bad. And to be quite honest with you, I mean, we're talking about arguably the best team in the AFC, 8-game win streak. So the thing I'm not feeling good about, we're playing the Chiefs. I mean, I
Right.
can go into Kelsey and Hill, and I'll think Andy Reid. I mean, we can go into all the positive things, but we're stepping into this is a big time game, and
Yeah.
so that's something I'm not feeling good about.
Well, to be the best, you have to beat the best. So, and I think they know that. So, it's just one of those things. Hopefully, the pressure doesn't get to them. But I agree. I mean, what else is there to say except you're playing the Chiefs? That's a
Right.
big deal.
Right. No, well, and this is where Burrow's kind of moxie comes in. I mean, he's got to settle everybody down. If you think about it, the pressure, if we show up and play a good first quarter, the pressure shifts to the Chiefs because everybody's thinking, hey, we're the Bengals, right?
Right.
So, that once again, when, you don't think like last week when the Chargers were chasing in the third quarter and the fourth quarter against Houston, the pressure was on the Chargers. Houston could
Right.
play loose. Nobody was expecting them to even be leading at that point, more or
Right.
less win the game. I mean, think about when the Jets beat Tennessee, that kind of thing. So the pressure could easily shift over to Kansas City. With that said, I mean, this is a team that's been to the last two Super Bowls for the AFC. We know what Patrick Mahomes is capable of. Both quarterbacks have spent the entire week praising each other.
Yeah.
You've been reading in the press. Burrow's talked about, how this is the class of the conference. They've represented the AFC the last two times. Mahomes has fired back saying this is an incredible leader. See how people rally around him. I mean, it's just been one of those love fests going back and forth. And this, I want everybody to understand what we're going to see this weekend. This is the first of many meetings between these two quarterbacks.
I agree.
You listen to other analysts and they're saying, these are the matchup. We're going to have 20 more games like this. This is the new Brady Manning. And this is something. So I expect this to be the first of many exciting games between Mahomes and Burrow.
Yeah. And, the last thing I'll say about the Chiefs too is, you mentioned the 8-game winning streak. I don't think people realize that during that streak, they've beaten the Chargers, they've beaten Green Bay, they've beaten Dallas. It's not just like they're rolling over cupcakes over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're rolling over teams that have Super Bowl aspirations. Maybe not necessarily the Chargers, but they're possibly going to be a playoff team. But you got Dallas and Green Bay, and they're both thinking Super Bowl.
Right.
And the Chiefs beat both of them as well. So it's not like they just went on an 8-run stretch where, they were only beating, the dredges of the AFC. I mean, they were beating quality teams in both conferences.
Yeah, and I want everybody, and I've seen this on Facebook and on Twitter, and everybody's bringing up the 2003 game. And like I said, I'll reach for anything, but there's a lot of differences between what went down in 2003 and now. The Chiefs came in 9-0 in 2003.
I was at that game.
That a Kitna-led team beat the Chiefs. We were their first loss of that year. No one expected it. That was the Houston beating the Chargers of that year.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs came in, were supposed to roll us. They were playoff bound. Obviously, you start 9-0, you better make the playoffs in a 16-game season. But and we threw them up. The Chiefs didn't see us coming. Okay.
Right. Ocho Cinco guaranteed a win in that game, and it turned out to be Peter Warwick that did all the work.
Right. But what I'm saying, wasn't like this one, the Chiefs are fully prepared. They know what they're coming into.
Yeah.
We're not sneaking up on anybody.
Nope.
So that's one of the huge differences in this game is that was, one of those where we caught him sleeping.
I agree.
So that's not to say that we can't win this game. Okay. I mean, it's in Cincinnati. The Chiefs they've had an 8-game winning streak. I mean, they're due for a setback. I personally think Miami, who lost 7 in a row, won 7 in a row. I think that streak ends this week.
Yeah, me too.
Against Tennessee. So it's all streaks come to an end, and it would be nice for us to wrap up the division. So I just want to kind of tell everybody that was a little different team back then. Carson Palmer then starts the next year. And if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can correct me in the comments.
Well, you're going off the rails here.
Well, no, but it was either 02 or 03 where Kitna won comeback player of the year. I
Right.
believe it was one of those two seasons. So with the work that he did. So, all right, well, let's get to the good. And the best thing is looking at our injury report. Logan Williams, full practice last 2 days.
Wilson.
I mean, yeah, Logan. What did I say?
Williams.
Oh yeah, Logan Wilson.
It's okay.
So with that, to me, that's the best news I can see on the sheet. Khalid Kareem full practice. Cam Sample still is no practice, and Jalen Davis is no practice. But Logan Wilson, we lose Pratt. It would have been nice to keep Pratt and get Wilson. That's what we really would have wanted. Didn't happen that way. Is there any chance he's off the COVID list, or it was too late in the week?
No, I think it was too late. I think it was too late in the week. Yeah. And with Logan, I think the question remains now, even though he's doing full practices with his team. The question remains whether he's going to be a 3-down linebacker on Sunday, or if they're going to play him just a little limited. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not saying they're only going to give him 25% of the snaps. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, maybe they pull him off the field on a first down every once in a while, or a second or a third, just be a little more limited with him. But, he's like Burrow and Mixon. He's a gamer. He doesn't want to come off the field. And a lot of times Zach Taylor trusts his guys to say, I'm good, coach. I'm good. Leave me in there.
Right. So, I want to point out that if we were to tie, that would clinch us the division this week, by the way. If we tie, that's a tie gets us a clinch. But like I said, I both teams are going to score. I just don't know. Can we disrupt Mahomes enough to, get the couple stops we need to kind of get ahead? Our defense, this is, in my opinion, this game is going to be decided by our defenses and not our offenses.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny you mentioned that too, because I think one of the most fascinating stats is that, the Chiefs for the last couple of years, their offenses had to overcome their defense. This year, they've allowed the 4th fewest points in the AFC. Yeah. They've allowed 306 points over 15 games. That's pretty good. They're still susceptible, of course. I'm not saying they're world beaters or anything like that, because the leaders in the league are allowing like 240, 250, 260. Right. But still, it's one of those things that, I kind of jumped off the page at me, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize that they were doing that well. I knew that they had improved it. I knew that they had improved their defense, and plus, their turnover machines. They've turned the ball over 28 times, or forced 28 turnovers, 15 picks, 13 fumbles. So they got to wrap up that ball, and we really need Joe to keep his mistakes to a minimum, or guys like Tyrann Mathieu are going to make him pay for it.
Yeah, I agree. This is, like I said, I think this is a game where it's going to be decided by key turnovers and key penalties.
Agreed completely.
And I think those are going to be done by the defense. We're talking about defensive penalties that change the game, and we're going to be talking about defensive turnover. Defense is forcing turnovers. So I do think both these teams are more than capable of throwing 30 on each other.
Oh yeah,
I don't doubt that for a second. So
I agree. Did you look at my prediction before this show?
No. I didn't even know you had put up your. Is it already out?
No, I haven't. I meant like, did you see my piece of paper?
Oh, no. So no. So that's pretty much all I've got. Okay. I mean, I'm really eager to see this game. We've been at times this Jekyll and Hyde, and I'm really hoping, we get Jekyll this week and not Hyde.
Right.
Even if we don't win this game, it's important that we make it a game. If we lose, let's have it be a 1-possession game where it came down to the end, because that will still earn us a ton of respect. Standing toe to toe with the champ. Sometimes just you go to the cards, you go on decision, and you lose the decision, but you still stood there for 12 rounds with Muhammad Ali, taking his best and giving your best. And so there's,
and then you see all the talking heads on TV next week. As long as you can stay toe to toe with them, you're going to see a lot of guys say there's no such thing as a good loss, but this was a pretty good loss. You know what I mean?
Right. And I do, like I said, there's no reason we have a shot at winning this game. Like I said,
100%.
So this is not a, we're not a Houston playing, the Chargers. I almost said San Diego. We're not a Houston playing the Chargers kind of thing,
Right.
where we're coming into the game with a 2% chance of winning the game. I mean,
Right.
we have more than a puncher's chance. We have a shot at winning this thing. We could win this thing. Now, whether or not, I don't want to tip my hand on what I'm predicting. So
Right.
you want to do
Well, I think it's also worth noting that for all the as Bengals fans, we feel like you're always more critical of your own team, obviously. And Burrow's got 14 interceptions. To us, that seems like a whole lot. Mahomes has got 13. So,
Right.
And he's only got 2 more touchdowns than Joe does. So, I mean, this is lining up to be one of the most exciting games on Sunday for sure.
Oh, I was surprised that this wasn't flexed, but this may have been protected by CBS.
Yeah.
They're allowed to protect a game. This may be the game they protected, because they did flex somebody, but it wasn't us. We didn't.
Right.
But I was really surprised. I thought either last week's game or this week's game would get flexed to 5:00. Didn't happen. It's fine. It's actually better for us to do the videos during the day,
right,
at night. So, well, why don't you? I don't know if you published it yet, but I know you're going to write a prediction. Why don't you go ahead and give us your prediction?
It's written. It has not published yet. It will publish sometime late tomorrow afternoon, Eastern time. Here's the way I see it. The Chiefs are still, even though I just kind of lauded their defense as being so much better than it was, they're still giving up 5.8 yards per play. That's a significant chunk. And we just had a game where we were 5.8 would have been a disappointment on one of our plays. Right. I mean, it seemed like every pass T. Higgins caught went for a first down. Right. You know what I mean? And usually it was from like 1st and 10 or 2nd and 10. So I do see us going toe to toe with them. I really do. And I do think to be the best, you got to beat the best. I see Joey B having a great game. Obviously, we cannot ever expect for him to repeat what he did last week. Right. But I expect he and Mahomes to duke it out. I expect both run games actually to be heavily involved. I think we're going to see a good mix of both in the first half, keeping it kind of low scoring. And in the second half, I think both teams are absolutely going to open up the field. With that said, when it all comes down to it, like you said, was exactly what I thought. It's going to come down to a turnover. It's going to come down to a key penalty. And at the end, I don't know if it's somebody driving down the field. I don't know if it's holding off, but I see the Bengals falling 31-30.
Okay. We almost have identical opinions about this game. In terms of, I see it the same thing. I think both teams are going to be, they're going to come out very conservative. It's going to be that little feeling each other out for the first quarter kind of thing. No one's going to take chances. Andy Reid will very gradually, kind of ease his way into his game plan. I think Zach will have ways to, like I said, they're going to both offenses have an incentive to keep the other offense off the field, because both of these offenses can put up points.
Yeah.
I mean, they can come out here, boom, 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 and there's a touchdown. But I see it almost identical to you. I had it as 36-34 Chiefs. I do think we come up just short on this one. I'm kind of doing the reverse hex because, like I said, both of our scores, all it takes is one turnover late, one key pass interference, something. It's just going to take one mistake late in the game, and that's going to be the deciding factor. And we have a 50-50 shot that we would make the play. If we hadn't lost Pratt, and we had Logan Wilson coming back, I probably wouldn't be on the Bengals. We're just so lean at linebacker. They have so many weapons, and they have a guy named Travis Kelce. And if last week, even with everything that we did, we had no answer for Andrews. None. And 2 weeks prior to that, we had no answer for Kittle. So It's not, we're now facing, we're talking about, I don't know that Andrews is in the Kittle Kelce conversation, but he's closer to it than he is farther away from it. So we're really talking about, 3 of the last 4 weeks playing three of the best tight ends in football. And
It's
the first two we played, we haven't had an answer for them. So that
Right.
the lack of linebacker and the fact that we've had issues, that's why I'm leaning the other way. And I hope it's a reverse hex, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we're blowing the victory horn and all that. But
It's funny that you say the reverse hex, because when I was picking my score, I was thinking, the last couple times that I've picked the Bengals to lose, they've turned around and surprised us. Right. So I was like, I'll be damned if I'm going to pick them to win this week.
Yeah, I had them both times winning, but just to show you, I'm real. I'm going to tell you what I think. And this one, I'm not betting the Bengal money line. I've teased it. I have multiple cards with the Bengals, starting at I've got a teaser with them plus 11 and one with them plus 16.5. I feel great about both those bets, but I don't know that I money line this game because it's an iffy game. It really is. It's one of those, I'm being optimistic if I call it 50-50, because really when you look at what we're missing on defense, it should be 60-40 kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a really enjoyable game to watch, this for sure. So get your popcorn ready.
Yeah. And if we are right, and it is a low scoring first half, that means all of you at halftime, you jump on your second half over bet, because I do think that the second half, you don't even have to pick a winner. I do think that both of these teams come out in the second half slinging it. If we have a 13-10 game at half, I still expect there to be over 30 points, which means the bet is the over in the second half. So just bear that in mind. All right. Well, remind everybody where they can find all your stuff, Sam.
Absolutely. On Twitter at Buy and Sell You or at Talk Prime Time. When you hit that subscribe button, don't forget to hit that bell and comment down below, baby. You can also find Mark on Twitter and most of the major platforms at LA Bengals Fan.
There you go. So Sam and I will be back with the recap. Hopefully we clinch the division. You know what? And I wouldn't cry if we got a tie and clinch the division. It would be like what a tie would do? It would be like a to be continued, right? Like we were going to meet them in the AFC Championship game. That's what the tie would be. So, but I'm just looking, I just want to clinch it if we can. I mean, obviously we don't need this to come down. I do think we would beat Cleveland in week 18. We were talking about this, before we started recording. This is Ben's last game at Heinz Field. So I do think that defense comes out strong. They're going to.
Let's not finish talking about Ben Roethlisberger.
But I'm thinking that we have a shot, at closing things out. If this is not an absolute must win, we just need to win one of these two. But I would love to have it be this one. So you never want it to come down to the last game. You never want it to come down to the last game. No, it's there's the human element. Anything can happen.
Too many variables. You got weather. You got weird bounces or injuries or something.
And don't think whether the Browns are playing for the division or they're just playing out the string, there would be a huge incentive to knock us out of the postseason.
Big time. So
we don't even want to go there. If we can wrap things up, get street cred, and get a chance to rest guys in the next week, So, because it is Logan Wilson's first game back after a long time. So Sam and I will be back with the recap after the game. And with that, I'm going to wish everybody a happy new year, safe, happy, healthy new year. And hopefully we're back on Sunday recovering a win. Okay. Hoo day, everybody.
Hoo day.
Take care.